All right, we're looking at the orbit here. We've got a combination of muscles, nerves, and arteries, as usual, that you need to know. This is the optic nerve with the optic chiasm. This is the cavernous sinus. Coming through the cavernous sinus, we have the internal carotid artery with the carotid plexus. We have the trochlear nerve, the oculomotor nerve, and the abducens nerve coming through here, TOA, trochlear oculomotor abducens. The other nerves that come through the cavernous sinus are the ophthalmic branch of trigeminal and the maxillary branch of trigeminal. Coming through the superior orbital fissure will be the ophthalmic branch of trigeminal, the trochlear, the oculomotor, and the abducens. As we look at the top here, before we remove the muscles, this is the trochlear nerve coming across the top of levator palpebra superioris, coming to innervate the superior oblique muscle. This is the frontal nerve. It's a branch of the ophthalmic branch of trigeminal. It's going to be sensory, and it's going to be branching into the supraorbital, which is more lateral, and the supratrochlear, which is more medial. And then this is the lacrimal branch of the trigeminal, which is coming through here to innervate the skin above the lacrimal gland. So this is ophthalmic branch is going to have frontal, lacrimal, and nasociliary. We're going to meet underneath here. That's going to be nasociliary right there. Muscles you need to identify. This is the superior oblique on top of the medial rectus. This is levator palpebra superioris on top of the superior rectus, and this is the lateral rectus. We're going to go ahead and remove the lacrimal gland. Oh, and coming on the outside of the lateral rectus here, this is the lacrimal branch of the facial nerve, which is going to be motor control to the lacrimal gland itself. As we remove these muscles and we look in deeper here, again, we still see the superior oblique and the medial rectus. This is the nasociliary nerve, number 75. Nasociliary nerve is giving off long ciliary nerve, which is going to be sensory to the eyeball itself. Then nasociliary nerve is giving off the posterior ethmoidal nerve, which goes with the posterior ethmoidal artery through the posterior ethmoidal foramina to get to the nasal cavity. Nasociliary then gives off the anterior ethmoidal nerve, which is going to travel with the anterior ethmoidal artery through the anterior ethmoidal foramen, and eventually that will give off the external nasal branch of the anterior ethmoidal. The terminal branch of the nasociliary is the anterior ethmoidal and the infratrochlear. Infratrochlear nerve is going to exit below the trochlea. So branches of trigeminal are nasociliary, frontal, and lacrimal. We're going to open this up now. We're going to remove the lateral rectus. We're going to open up the cavernous sinus. We're going to see within the cavernous sinus here, this is the trochlear nerve on top. This is the oculomotor nerve. This is the abducens nerve, cranial nerve 6, which is coming to innervate lateral rectus. This is the nasociliary nerve. And then on this side, this is the frontal nerve and the lacrimal nerve. So those are the branches of ophthalmic, lacrimal, frontal, nasociliary. So you go NFL, TOA, trochlear oculomotor abducens. Remove this, we see this is the oculomotor nerve. Oculomotor nerve has a superior division and an inferior division. Going to be innervating the rest of the ocular muscles here. This one's going to be innervating levator palpebra superioris, superior rectus, and medial rectus. This one's going to be innervating inferior rectus and inferior oblique, which can be seen from the front side. Oculomotor nerve is also going to give contribution to the ciliary ganglia, which is the parasympathetic ganglia associated with this, and it's going to come forward to become short ciliary nerves. Coming through here, if you look behind, you see number 82 back there. Number 82 is the sympathetic postganglionic fibers that are hitching a ride up on the carotid plexus. So that's going to be sympathetic nerves that are going to the eye to tell the pupil to dilate. So we have a combination mixing of sympathetic and parasympathetic fibers here. So this was oculomotor. Now let's look at arteries. Coming off of the internal carotid artery will be the ophthalmic artery. Ophthalmic artery is going to have many, many branches, but the first branch that you need to identify is this one on the bottom here. That's the central artery of the retina. It's actually going into the optic nerve itself. Then the ophthalmic artery is going to give off long and short ciliaries, which go to the rest of the eyeball. Ophthalmic artery is going to give off posterior ethmoidal artery, then anterior ethmoidal artery, and then the ophthalmic artery is going to branch into the supratrochlear and the infratrochlear arteries, which are going to come out to the face here. Other things that can be identified in here, this is the pterygopalatine ganglia. This is the nerve of the pterygoid canal coming into the pterygopalatine ganglia. This is the maxillary branch of the trigeminal, which is coming through the cavernous sinus and then through the foramen rotundum. Maxillary branch of trigeminal will be giving off zygomatico-orbital and zygomatico-facial, but you can't really tell which that one is. It's probably zygomatico-temporal. Zygomatico-facial will be coming out through the holes here, and then maxillary is going to become the infraorbital, coming through here to be sensory, and sensory innervation to the face here. So maxillary is going to, some of the branches of maxillary are visualized on this. That's it.